All right, Hoshin planning. Anybody heard of this term before? You've heard of this term. You're experienced, aren't you? All right, so Hoshin, sorry I forgot my clicker, so I'll be kind of standing over here. Hoshin is a word derived from a Japanese term which originated in the 60s. The original Japanese term comprises 4 syllables, Hoshin Kanri. It means shiny metal pointing direction, and Kanri means management or policy. And translated, it's essentially a compass based upon company vision. Company has to have a vision. Who do we want to be in 5 years? 3 to 5 years. What do we want to look like? So it's not just a planning tool. A lot of companies go through this and say, hey, we need our annual objectives determined and what we're going to do. And then they develop them and they throw them out there to everybody and, okay, go ahead and meet your objectives next year. But it's really a well-developed system of how we operate every day. And everything is linked into this vision, and that's what we're going to go through. Compass, dollar signs. And foundational to it, of course, is continuous improvement. Stewart Deming idea of plan, do, check, act, plan, do, check, act. We have some teams that are working on A3s in here. Samrat. Who's got A3s? Who's on the graduate team A3s? Okay, now let me ask you, do we do plan, do, check, act on that? Do we have to go back and revise what it is we're trying to implement over and over again and keep refining it based on what we know, right? And your team, while you're designing a product, you think you got what you need, and you talk to the team that's machining it and realize there's a problem with it. So you initially create a part for the car, you design it in CAD, you say, here we go, and you go over to the other team and they go, no, can't do it. The equipment's not capable of making that. Got to go back and redesign. So we're always refining and always improving, and we're always evaluating the system. And this idea of Hoshin, having a vision 3 to 5 years out, requires a whole entire organization, top to bottom, to be aligned and continually improving and refining how they do business. Philosophically, is the approach we take. So what does PDCA mean? What is PDCA? What is PDCA? That's the obvious.
Oh, please don't change anything.
Oh, hey, okay. Say that loudly.
Please don't change anything.
So many companies, PDCA, this was my little joke, does truly, genuinely mean, please don't change anything. They're not really interested in improving. And a lot of companies are just stagnant that way. So this entire structure and system that we're setting up based upon vision absolutely needs a philosophical approach of continuous improvement. Hoshin planning is a means for keeping the actions and innovations of your people aligned to the vision. And we can see this as well when we're doing our A3s. We have a vision of what we want, and that vision wasn't quite clarified, was it? In various teams, there was different views on what we were going to do. And as we started developing together, we started getting focused on what it was the objective. And once we get that objective clear, people start aligning the methods at which they produce their project to align with what it is we're doing. And could you see that when we're going through the A3? Yeah, so think about a large organization that doesn't really have clarity around what it is they want to be in 3 to 5 years. And that vision isn't established. You will definitely get a lot of people pulling at each other and working in different directions. And you won't have a consistency of purpose, one of Deming's 14 points, and people won't be focused on the thing that they all are trying to achieve that they all agreed upon. So this is critically important for an organization to be efficient in how they improve. And the ideas and the inspiration that guide and improve your organization come from your people. Hoshin planning leverages their creative talent, and you'll see when we get through how this works, how it really is cascaded through the whole organization in the planning development and the vision development, and there's agreement all the way through the entire rank, so everybody's well aligned. So this is not what you want, and this is true. We talk about a good example of this is in value stream mapping. We want to reduce lead time. But in a certain department, there's a manager that's highly rewarded for efficiency. So if I'm highly rewarded for efficiency, and that's the only thing that really matters, do I change over my equipment frequently? No, because if I change over frequently, my efficiency drops, right? Because I'm losing time on the equipment. So my efficiency suffers. So the only thing I'm being measured on is impacted negatively by doing the very thing we're trying to do as a company, reduce lead time. So all these goals are inconsistent, and there's actually people working against the vision of the company if they even have one defined. So everything must be aligned to be efficient. So we include the entire organization for aligning the work and the vision of the company to benefit the knowledge and agreement of the whole organization. Hoshin aligns strategies and drives execution to achieve breakthrough results. Sounds kind of like Kaikaku a little bit, little bit of that. So we want this versus this. Now that seems ridiculous. I put a picture up here and go, okay, everybody rowing in the same direction. I get it, but I'm telling you this is very, very real. Because if the goals are not aligned, if they're not set up, if they're not focused on who we want to be in 3 to 5 years, it's just pure randomness throughout the organization. People are setting goals in a vacuum in one department, and another area setting goals in another department in a vacuum, and accounting has different goals. All the organizations are operating as separate islands, setting their goals, and they're very inconsistent with each other. And they're literally working against each other in many cases, or at some level they're working against each other.
Good example. We were working with one of the Navy yards on lean, on shipbuilding yards, and the Navy decided they were going to set some goals to improve the integration of lean concepts into what they were doing. They put a goal out there of the number of Kaizen events they would like to have per year. So guess what they got? What they get? Improvement or Kaizen events?
They got a lot of garbage ideas.
They got a lot of those Kaizen events that didn't do anything, but they achieved their goals. They set goals for the number of events. Then they learned, well, maybe we need to achieve production goals, rather than just holding events. So everybody was having events, nothing got done. Your goal that he's talking about that's aligned with what you're trying to accomplish is very important.
So if you know we want to be this great company by this point because we want to achieve these great things, no one's going to accept a goal that isn't consistent with that. And everybody's going to understand what it is. So in Broche, I forgot one thing with the continuous improvement, the way they motivated people with that. They actually said, yeah, we could probably give them some kind of payment for cutting the corner off of a table. See how stupid it gets silly. And then I said, well, you know what's going to happen if you start doing that? You're going to get all kinds of silly ideas you can't relate to anything because they're going to get paid for it. They're going to tell you everything they can think of. So this pay problem is not going to work for you. Bad way to set it up. Hoshin is an active relationship between two parts. It's the strategies and objectives, and it is the daily management of key performance indicators. So there's some redundancy in what we talked about, continuous improvement in SQDCM. That's the daily operation, the weekly, monthly, the things that we do on a regular basis throughout the year. And these two components, Hoshin, the strategies and objectives that are more long-term, that are more vision-related, combined with the daily goals, which are linked to it, really moves the organization in the right direction. So this is kind of a graphic of what that means. So if I've got out 4 years, I want to achieve this vision. Year 1, I work daily, weekly, monthly. I'm always trying to solve problems with Kaizen and continuous improvement, but it is aligned with what this objective is. Our annual goals are aligned with this objective. So I'm working toward the vision, but I've got an annual requirement in how I get there, year over year. So the idea is, you're looking at improvement. If I didn't have the Hoshin planning, take these improvements away as a company. So these are the steps. Does anybody have an idea what catch ball means? I remember I was at Chrysler and they say we're doing catch ball in our plan. I don't think we were well executing some of these things, even though people were using the terms. We're doing catch ball. Well, what that means is if you look at establishing organization vision, developing breakthrough objectives, developing annual objectives, and then deploying them, those first 4 steps are all Hoshin. And the last 3 steps where you implement the objectives and you do your monthly and annual reviews are Kaizen. So the catch ball piece of this, the intent of this is that we're talking to all levels of the organization, from the president on down. And we're negotiating what we view as the vision or the requirements to support what the company's doing, even establishing the vision from the manufacturing floor, in this case manufacturing, all the way to the president's office. And we're going back and forth on this until we all are consistently agreeing this is who we think we should be in the next 3 to 5 years. And then you have this understanding and this vision that becomes stated for the company and everybody knows what it is. And then you start developing your breakthrough objectives and your annual objectives that are in line and consistent with that vision. So this is a well-developed process of defining how we do business as a company and what our goals are and who we want to be. Well-developed. So catchball means I'm the president, I throw you the ball and I say, here's what we think about the vision, here's what we want to do. And you go, sounds good to me. And then I throw it to you and you throw it back and say, I'm not sure, why aren't we considering this? I think this is important. Now that would be the next level of management. And you're going back and forth on what this vision should be. And then you're going down to the next level from you. And you're throwing it down saying, here's what I think our key breakthrough objectives should be. And your organization's throwing the ball back to you, trying to negotiate that around the vision. And that goes all the way down to the supervisor running the process on the floor and annual objectives. And that's a long, difficult process to go through, but when you go through it, you have very great clarity about who you are as an organization, what you want to be, and you've aligned everybody's efforts and work around that objective. That doesn't happen in a lot of companies. And it is very powerful. But at Chrysler, catchball meant they'd throw the ball at you really hard, and if you didn't catch it, it'd hit you in the teeth. So you better catch it. And then obviously the continuous improvement for the Kaizen efforts. So establishing organizational vision, it's a picture of the company in the future years. It sets a framework for a strategic plan, and all stakeholders are involved. All stakeholders. Everybody that has something to do with it are aligned with this vision and help develop it. The vision statement defines your long-term aspirations, explains why you're doing what you're doing, and the ultimate good you want to achieve through your success. So Ali, should we have a vision for the lab? Yeah. Guess what? I'm a hypocrite. We do. We talk about, hey, this would be a good place to go, and we kind of talk it out, but have we defined anything? Have we put it on paper? Have we all agreed? We're working on it. We're working on it, but we really should, because there's a place that lab could go that we think could be great, but it'll never get there unless we define it. I mean, we just won't do the work because we're good sheep and we're too busy. But if we define it and we all understand what we want it to be,